So I just got back from another knitting adventure and it's time to tell you all about it. This time I went to the Patty Lyons Retreat, which is called AffiKnity in New York. So let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to the Knit Life Oils YouTube channel. So I just got back from the Patty Lyons Retreat in New York and it was such a great week. So let's talk about it. So I left on Tuesday and I got home on Sunday and I've had this week at home and then I leave on Monday to go to Chicago for H&H of the Americas. So it's been a little crazy. My suitcase only sort of gets unpacked at the moment. Not really. Just do the laundry and go back. So, okay. So Tuesday, I got up super early. I had an early flight, but it was super pretty. It was one of the best flights I've ever been on, actually. It was really nice. And I had to fly from Portland to Atlanta, which someone please explain to me how Portland to Albany equals Atlanta. That is not in the same direction, but whatever. That's the flight path. So I flew to Atlanta and there I met up with Dawn, the owner of Twice Sheared Sheep. So this was a trip to vend at the Patty Lyons Retreat for Twice Sheared Sheep. I work for Twice Sheared Sheep as the marketing coordinator or community relations or social media. I do a lot of things and it's super fun. I love it. But so I met up with Dawn there in Atlanta and then we got to fly together up to Albany. And the Atlanta airport was actually not as scary as I thought it was going to be. It's really big, but it's very like easily laid out. And so I can like find things pretty nicely. I thought it was going to be more like scary and hard to navigate and it wasn't. So that was nice. So we got to Albany and, it was like late in the evening what it felt like, but I'd also been up forever. So, it's very funny to me how long it takes to get across the US. It seems like it shouldn't take that long, but it does. And so that was nice. The other thing that always makes me laugh is that the extra hour always throws me. So the time difference between the West Coast and the East Coast is 3 hours, right? So when we go to Chicago for H&H, it's only 2 hours and it doesn't really bother me that much. And I'm like, oh, no problem. And then we do the third hour and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much different. I don't know what the difference is, but there is definitely a difference. So anyway, so we stayed in Albany for the night and we got to our hotel. We had really good Mexican. I took a picture for you because it looked really pretty. So we stayed in Albany that night. And then on Wednesday, we met up with our friend Emily from our virtual knit club, who we've never met in person. And so that was very cool to not be on Zoom and to see her in real life. And then we got to go to a couple local yarn stores in Albany that we have relationships with and have met before. So CC's Wool is a yarn store in, I think it's in Guilderland, which is right next to Albany. And so, we have, worked with them as a wholesale shop. We also see them at H&H and CC and Ray. And I didn't tell them we were coming. I was like, we're just going to show up and see what happens. And they were so surprised to see us, which was awesome. It was very fun to get to actually see their store. And it has rows of yarn. There's a lot of their own yarn line, American U, which was super fun to see. And it's just a beautiful store. So let me show you what I got. I got a couple things. So this is the American U yarn, and this is fingering weight in purple and pink, obviously. You will start to see a little bit of a theme on this trip. I got very on trend yarns this time, which I'm super okay with. So this is American U. And then there's another yarn that they had that was also local to them and spun. And so this is Feederbrook Farm. And this is Pink and Teal. And look, they're friends. They won't go on the same project, but they're friends. So that was, oh, I also got this really cute sheep deck of cards for my sister, but I already gave those to her. So that was Cece's. We had a lot of fun being there in person. And so the other yarn store I wanted to visit was the Spinning Room of Altamont. Our friend Nancy, we see at H&H, and I was really excited that we were close enough that we could go to her store. And so that was in Altamont, and there was this really cute gazebo thing that reminded me of Gilmore Girls, and so I had to take a picture because I'm like, look, it's Gilmore Girls. See, so I've been where they filmed Gilmore Girls, even though that's not where they filmed Gilmore Girls, but it seemed close, right? Like, it was close. So, yeah, so she was really surprised to see us too because she didn't know that we were coming either, and she was so excited. And I walked in the front door and our bags were right in the front, and I was like, oh, that's so exciting. So it was very fun to see her also, and I got a couple things from there too. So this is the Periwinkle sheep, which is dyed in Albany, New York. And so Dawn was laughing because when we were at Cece's, she's like, Katie likes her yarn far removed from the sheep and hot pink preferably, which is 100% true. And so we got to Spinning Room of Altamont, and I found this, and it's called Hot Pink. So I had to get it. Also, I don't have this one. Like, I don't have, oh, really, I don't have solid pink. And I guess this is still kind of a tonal, but, or my friends would call it a tonal. I call that solid, but that's a little bit of a different story. So, oh, and then I got this. So this was their local yarn store day exclusive. So this is a bag from Delicue. And then look at this. Oh my gosh. So this is Dream in Color Smooshy Cashmere. So it's super soft. It's called Mixtape. It was exclusive for local yarn store day. Nancy was knitting it up while we were there, and Dawn's like, that's a Katie yarn. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I had to have it. And so, yeah, I am excited to do something with that. I might do the pattern that comes in it, which is the Tara Hughes shawl, or I might do something like a Sophie scarf or something like that. So then we drove to the Otisega Hotel, which is where the retreat was, which is in Cooperstown, New York, which is the home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I did make sure that we drove by the Baseball Hall of Fame so that I could, like, acknowledge the fact that we've been there. Look, I've been there. So it takes about an hour and a half to get from Albany to Cooperstown. So we did that drive. We got there. We got checked in. We did knit night and things like that. And then I had met Natalie Warner at Vogue in January, and she just happened to be getting there after the longest flight ever from the UK. And so I got to see her and hang out with her and meet Carson. And I wanted to meet Carson for a long time. Carson's hilarious, and we had a great time. So I got to see them for dinner and hang out, and that just made me so happy. I've been waiting to see all of the teachers, and so that was really fun. So then on, what day is that? That was Wednesday. So Thursday, we got up and, had breakfast, and then we went to set up the booth. It was a super easy setup, which was great. And that went very smoothly. And then we did some porch knitting with friends. Sheila is from Urban Girl Yarns, and Natalie, and so in New York, we call it the veranda, apparently. I was a little bit confused by this, but I think we decided in the end that we just call it the porch or the patio. I would like to call it the place where the rocking chairs are, but apparently that's too long. So the veranda, I guess, is what we actually call it. So anyway, it was really nice to knit out on the veranda. That word still sounds weird coming out of my mouth. But so then we had heard about the yarn store Sybil's, which was like 15 minutes away. And so we decided to go on a little field trip with Carson and Natalie and Sheila. And so we got to go see Sybil's, and she was so excited to see us, and she couldn't believe that we were all there, and she knew who we all were, and Janetta was amazing. And so I got this yarn, which is from Zorn Junction, and it's called Big Eyes. And this, she used to live in New York, but now lives in Zorn, Texas, but we're gonna call it local anyway. So I hadn't seen any of these brands. And so it was really nice to get some stuff that I don't get here on the West Coast, on the East Coast. And so we did that. And then, so we got back and it was time for the welcome dinner. And so, we all had dinner and played bingo. At a certain point, we got a little bit, we'd kind of been through the bingo. And so Natalie started making pictures with the bingo chips. And she was so excited that we had no qualms about this. Zandy and I were helping, her find the right colors for stuff. And it was, we had the best time. And, Zandy got the best picture of me, concentrating, trying to match these colors. It was hilarious. It was great. And so then I learned that I am a night owl. I like to be up late, which I already knew I was a night owl, but, everybody would go to bed and I would just kind of stay up and see who was around and things like that. I'm also a West Coaster on the East Coast. And so I'm a night owl anyway, and then to add the time difference was just it was even worse. And so, so Thursday night, Laura and Zandy were up, and we were hanging out in a little knitting circle. I got to meet my friend Melinda. That was fun. But I was working on my poncho, and I was a little bit still not super excited about it because it was taking forever to finish, and I knew I had to fix it anyway to make it longer. And so I had talked to Roseanne, who designed it, about adding a band to the bottom to add some length. And I was like, okay, well, I can do that. And I still wasn't totally in love with the idea, and it wasn't motivating me to finish it really. And so, so I kind of showed it to them, and Zandy was so funny. I was standing there with it, and you could just see the wheels turning, of how he could adapt this. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I got it. I'm like, okay, I don't know what you got, but okay, great. And so he came up with this idea to, essentially instead of mattress stitching the two pieces together, put a saddle shoulder in. So you pick up stitches along each edge and then knit back and forth. I put a cable on it, and it actually turned out beautifully. I just finished it in ice blocking, and it's amazing. I can't wait to wear it to H&H, and it worked out perfectly. It has enough length now, and I'm really excited. And it was motivating to finish it because I needed to show it to Zandy because he helped me fix it. And then Laura Nelkin was able to this is how you do this. And so Zandy had this idea, and they worked together on it. It was super cool. I was fangirling really hard because they fixed my poncho, and it was great. So that was Thursday. So Friday, the marketplace opened, and we got to meet our friend Anne, who's also from our knit night. And then, I was getting messages from my friends back home that I got to meet Gabby, and I was like, what is a Gabby? And so Gabby came. She is a knitter and works at the Baseball Hall of Fame, and did her thesis or something, dissertation, I don't know, on the knitted cardigans from past baseball players. And so she came and gave a talk, and I got to meet her. And so my friends were also telling her, you get to see Katie. And she's like, how am I supposed to find Katie? And so I found Gabby. And so everything was good. And then, so we did afternoon market, and then the fashion show. And that was really fun. I always love getting to see what everybody's making and walk around. And I didn't show anything this time, which was nice for me because I didn't feel as bad about not finishing stuff. Yeah, because all of the things don't always get done. But anyway, so yes. So Saturday, I did a little bit of shopping in the marketplace. So I will show you all the things. So these are called stud buttons from Jewel Designs. And the really cool thing about these is that, so you don't have to sew them, right? So you can just, so I make cardigans a lot, right? And so I can just hold both pieces of cardigan with the buttons, and it kind of becomes a whole new style. And then I can just take them off when I'm done. And she helped me put them on what I was wearing, the cardigan I was wearing, and so it fit perfectly. So I'm kind of excited to use those at different events, and that I think will be really fun to style some things differently. And so then I got my yarns from Sheila, who is Urban Girl Yarns, and we've been hanging out with all weekend. So this is, ooh, that's really pretty on camera. Look at that teal. So this is, what did we decide it was called? Virginia Fingering Parliament? Maybe that's the color name. This is also the yarn that Zandy made his retreat pattern in, which is called Codebreaker. And so I didn't even know that when I picked it. It was just really pretty on the table. And so then, so this is kind of funny. So this one, I kind of have been looking at all weekend, and it's a little more green than I normally go, but it kind of tends seafoam rather than actual green. And I saw somebody else had it, and I went over to Sheila and I was like, okay, I've been like thinking about this one, but it's not really my color. And she looks at me and she goes, really? You're wearing it. And it's like at the top of my grid gambit, there is a color that's pretty similar to this. And I was like, dang it. Okay, you win. So I got this one too because she's not wrong. And so I kind of think, I might be crazy, but I kind of think that these three might be a really cool cardigan somehow. But I'll need a fourth, so I'll have to see if there's another one that kind of goes with it. But might be my New York cardigan. And then, and then the teachers were in the marketplace later in the afternoon. And so I got this really cool washi tape from Patty Lyons. I have no idea what I need washi tape for, but it's knitting washi tape. Like, that somehow makes it different and much cooler than other washi tape, right? So, and then I got the kit to make lanyards from Lauren Nelkin, which I'm really excited about because I go to events a lot. And so to have a lanyard that's beads and yarn to put my badges on, I'm really excited about that. I did not get that done before H&H this week. That wasn't happening. So, yeah. Oh, and then I also, so there's a swap table. And so I brought some yarn to put on the swap table. And the first night I found this yarn from Fully Spun, who doesn't dye yarn anymore. And it's a little bit more yellow, maybe a little darker than I normally go, but there was 2 skeins. And the reason that their other skein is not in here is because I already cast it on. So, it's gonna be my H&H project, I think. As long as the variegated keeps going with the pattern. I'm a little nervous that it's too variegated for the pattern, but I also kind of like it. And I think it's going to match one of my favorite dresses, the black polka dot with the yellow sash. I think it will be really good for that. So then, Saturday night, they did I can't even say this with a straight face. They did the teacher Q&A, which was absolutely hilarious. They were asking questions like about their design process and things like that, and their yarn stashes, and it was absolutely hilarious. It was one of my favorite parts of the week. It was just great. So then once again, I am still up, and Zandy Peters and I got into this conversation about bodegas because apparently this is a New York thing, and he's planning where he's going to take me when I go back to New York for Vogue in January. And I'm like, I don't understand any of these words. Apparently, I'm like, is a bodega like a gas station? And he goes, yeah, except we don't have cars, so we don't need gas stations. And I'm like, well, that's very confusing. So, and there's like a sandwich counter in the bodega. And I was like, okay, I was wrapping my head around this. And then he goes, there's cats. And I'm like, why are there cats? And he's like, because they live there. I'm like, why do the cats live in your sandwich shop gas station? I do not understand this. We had a very long conversation, and I was dying hysterically laughing. It was one of the funniest conversations I've had in a very long time, and it was just absolutely delightful. So Sunday was my flight home. We had breakfast in the morning, kind of said goodbye to everybody. Got back to the Albany airport. Yeah, it's kind of a long flight home. So there were some things with TSA, and then I got on my first plane, and they go, okay, so we're waiting on the maintenance guy to refill the hydraulic fluid, and it's going to be like a half an hour at least. Well, that wouldn't be a problem, except that my connection in Atlanta, I only had a 50-minute layover. Oh, great. That's just perfect. So we were over a half an hour leaving. The flight attendant tried to help me and everything. And so we, and I had to like run through the airport. I barely made my connection. I was the last one on the plane, and my bag somehow made the connection also, so that was great. So anyway, those are some of the highlights of my trip. It was really fun. I'm so happy with all of the yarn that I brought home too. My souvenirs are just so like indicative of my trip, and I love them. Here, do you need to see them all together? Well, this is most of them, other than the, ooh, that's pretty. See, they just don't go so well together, and they're just so, I love them. Okay, that's not the local yarn store day yarn or the swap yarn, but otherwise, yeah. So that's like a wrap and a recap of my AffiKnity Retreat experience this year. But stay tuned because I leave soon on my next adventure, and I will come home and tell you all about it. Talk to you soon.